Now we are going to discuss some rules of ECG graph presentation. So let's begin. For the presentation of the ECG, we have following rules. For example, rule number 1 is that initial negative always be Q or Q. This we can say that it's a rule for ECG QRS, rule for interpretation of QRS complex. Rule for QRS. And the second rule is the first positive wave always be R, smaller or capital R. And rule number 3 is that the first negative after R or capital R always be S, small s or capital S. Rule number 4, the second positive wave after S, small s or capital S always be R prime small or capital R prime. Rule number 5, that the second negative wave after small r prime or capital R prime always be small s prime or capital S prime. So I think you're thinking that what I'm doing, that presenting q, small r, small s. So these are the rules, and how these rules apply I will tell you. So we have to keep it in mind that initial negative always be either Q or capital Q, and the first positive wave in QRS complex always be R or capital R, and the first negative after R or capital R always be S, small s or capital S. The second positive wave after small s or the capital S always be R prime or capital R prime, and the second negative wave after a smaller prime or capital R prime always be S prime or capital S prime. So let's begin through the ECG graph of the QRS complex. For example, I made some graph like this. So you have to tell me that what are these. The first negative, that the initial negative will always be R. It will be R. If it is small, then what will be it will be small r, and the capital R and the small r depending upon the length. For example, if it is more than 3 centimeter or 3 millimeter, then it will be capital R, or it is if it is less than 2 to 3 millimeter, then it will be R smaller. So we take here the smaller. So it will be the first negative. So the first negative would be small q. The initial negative will be small q or capital Q, but here it is small, so I am writing a small q. And the first positive wave will always be R. So it is large, so I can here write R. And the first negative after R will always be S. In this case, the first negative is Q, and after that, it is the first positive, it will be R. In this case, the first positive wave, it will be R, and the first negative after R will always be S. In this case, all three waves are greater waves. The first positive, it will be R. The first negative after R, it will be S. And the second positive after S, it would be R prime. And in this case, the first positive is R. The first negative after R, it will be capital S. And here, the second positive after S, it will be R prime. So I hope you understand. Make another graph like this. So here we can see that the first positive is R, the first negative after R S, the second positive after S, the capital R prime, and the second negative after R prime, it will be S prime. So all these waves are, we consider that all these are QRS complexes, but their configuration is different, but all have R waves. So we can take all these as that of QRS complex, and if it has 3 waves, then it will be triphasic. If 2 waves are present, it will be biphasic, 1 2 3, triphasic, 1 2 3, triphasic, 1 2 3 4, tetraphasic. So these are all the different configurations or different graph of the QRS complex. Thank you.